Hey, Shalom Mark, and this is Rakam Makapash from GMS London, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Chachadash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful elect, pushing his truth in all sincerity. Back again with another video, and I'm gonna call this video, this is goodbye Esau. I was thinking about calling it something else, but I kind of like the title. I kind of like the idea of saying goodbye to Esau, like forever. Right, these Edomites, man. It's a nice thought, right? It's a nice thought to have, right? Knowing that this devil's going down and everything that he's taken, everything he's done, right? He's gonna be punished for everything that he's done, and everything that he's taken is gonna have to be restored, right? Because none of this belongs to him, right? He walks around the earth like this is like he owns the place, right? And even though he's in power right now, none of this really belongs to him, right? None of it really belongs to him, right? So he's gonna have to give back everything that he's stolen and taken from others, and again be punished for all the wickedness that he's done, predominantly to our people, but to the whole world, right? In the whole earth, right? All this wickedness that he's done, right? He has to pay, right? And that payment is far too great. He can't afford it, so he's gonna go bankrupt. He's gonna go all the way out, beyond bank. He's gonna go all the way out, right? So as we're gonna outline here in these scriptures, right? So like I said, I had a different title in mind for this. So I had a certain selection of presets that I was gonna bring out, but that's pretty much the same. So I'm just gonna get into it, man. But yeah, man, good riddance, Esau. All right. So starting in Micah chapter 2, verse 1, it says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds," right? As long as the devil's in power, well, even when he's not in power, it doesn't even matter, right? He's always, crafting some type of wickedness, right? And like I said, this type of individual in the kingdom is just not necessary. We don't want people like that. It's like how you feel about Jake right now. You don't want your kind here, right? You're the one that's going to be deported out of the earth, right? You are the worst, right? You're the most fucking vile nation on the planet, right? At least he was a bad man. Like we know, we've seen. And these other nations are bad too, man. But you're the worst, all right? So you're the ones going to get deported from the Most High's planet, right? Because the Most High can't stand you. Yeah, no one else can really stand you, man. We've had enough of your bullshit. Right, but yeah, as long as you're around, you're always gonna be plotting and devising some kind of iniquity, some kind of wickedness, right? And we just don't want that here, right? And work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Right, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, as we always go through, right? And Esau is in power right now. The so-called white man is in power, right? As you like to proudly proclaim. But anytime we talk about Edomites, you don't want to, you don't want to, acknowledge that part, but you want to acknowledge that you're in power. Cool. It's fine. Yeah, we don't need you to acknowledge it. Verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence, right? All these lands that you've stolen and killed for, right? And now you claim to be, that's your land, right? And everything belongs, everything on the land belongs to you, and everyone should work for you, and all of this stuff, right? This is what you've gone around the earth doing, and this is why you have such a bad report with all the nations. Right, as much as we try to get along with you because you're in power, and if you don't, you'll just fuck us over, fuck us up. These nations try to get on with you. They still try to get on with you, but you've just done nothing but take. Right, and so these nations are kind of fed up. They are fed up, right? So they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Right, you oppressed people. Right, you put us into slavery, Holocaust slavery. Sailed us across the fucking world in boats, in chains, to serve you in another land that it didn't belong to you, that you already, killed a bunch of people on. Your evil and wickedness knows no end. All right? So this is what you've done in the earth, right? Verse 3 says, "Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, against this family do I devise an evil." All right? And Esau about to get the most evil the Most High ever dealt to any people. Right, because the Most High is going to eventually get rid of your whole family, right? Your whole race of people, the Lord is going to get rid of, right? These heathens have done wickedness and the Lord have judged them. But the Lord has not utterly destroyed them as a people. Okay, your ending is going to be worse than any of theirs. You know? So the Lord is devising an evil against his family, right? He said, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall you go haughtily, for this time is evil. Okay? So I'm reading that. Right? This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 6. But like I said, you've terrorized the nations, man. And frankly, we've had enough, right? I'm gonna start from verse 5, right? It says, verse 4, it says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, right? So this proud devil, this Edomite, these so-called white people that, they're proud that their rulership, they're proud of their heritage, their history, and their strength, how they civilized the known world and all this bullshit, right? These proud devils, right? Your heart is not upright in you. Your soul is not upright. Okay, you ain't righteous, man. You're the wicked, right? You're just hella proud, but you're the devil, right? It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. It said, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarge of his desire is hell, right? That's why you go around the whole earth and conquering and dominating all these different nations. Which has nothing, that's none of your business. Like, their land's their land. Like, you had no business going around conquering their lands and taking their lands and their resources and putting people into slavery. You had no business in doing any of that, right? It says, who large of his desires hell and is as death, right? Because you can't have enough. It's never enough for you. You beginning with your elites of your Edomites, man. You have like the most ridiculous amount of wealth, ridiculous amount of wealth, right? And yet you still want to drain and drain and drain others, man, till they have nothing, and you don't even need it. Your wickedness is insatiable. Your greed is insatiable. And again, these types of individuals, we do not need in the kingdom of heaven. The Most High does not want in the kingdom of heaven, right? Or around at all, right? That's why you're going to be removed from the earth, right? So yeah, who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but begareth unto him all nations and heateth unto him all people, right? Because you want to control and dominate everybody. You want what everybody else has got, So shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taught in proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, right? So again, like you all this stuff you've taken don't belong to you. You seem to think because you can take it, therefore it belongs to you, because you've got the power to take it. That's not how things work, right? That's not how the Most High deals with things, right? The Most High allotted everybody their lands and whatever's on their lands, right? That's theirs, right? Even you, Esau, was given the land, right? Yeah, it might have been, a relatively shit piece of land, right? Just a, desert land with not much, going on in there. But you was given the land. That was your inheritance. But obviously, you're supremely covetous. You look at other people and like, oh, I want what they got. You are not content with what you have, And so you go around and take things from others. Again, this type of individual we don't want in the kingdom, right? But these other nations are going to turn around and look, because they know your history, like we all do. But like I said, these nations have tried to get along with you because it's in their best interest to get along with you because they know what you could do to them, right? Man, I know you stacking nuclear weapons and some crazy military because you've been stealing all this wealth and printing money, that you just amass this crazy ass army and technology that you could just destroy nations and financial regulation, sanctions, and all these different things. You could just really fuck people up, man, because you're just a dickhead, right? Because that's what you do. You're a bully, right? So people have tried to get along with you, right? But everybody knows that you screwed everybody over, right? Everybody knows this, right? So again, it says, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and to him that ladeth himself with fit clay, right? This is debt. Okay, and it's kind of twofold, right? On the one hand, yeah, you run a society with debt. Your what do they call that? That debt clock, bro. That's spiraling. You know what I mean? In trillions and trillions and trillions, it's just spiraling. It's out of control, and you just pushing You're just pushing it and printing more money, like whatever, in it, bro. Like, you gonna pay that back? You ever gonna pay that back? Man ain't paying nothing back. These men are gonna print to the end of the world, bro. They don't care. They're gonna crash the dollar. They're gonna crash this. They're gonna crash the global market. They don't give a fuck. They just go to war. And they got the biggest military, so they should win the war, right? So they have all these, they don't care. They don't care. They don't care, right? But the twofold part is like, it was all this blood that you shed, right? In building your kingdom, right? That's a payment you have to pay back too, and everything you've stolen, right? As a payment that you can't even afford to pay off your financial debt. All the rest of it, you can't afford to pay that back, bro. The Most High is gonna take you and clean you out completely, man. You're gonna be a servant for 1,000 years, hardcore slave for 1,000 years. That's the payment, and then there's more on top of that. Again, the Most High gonna remove you out of the planet because you serve no good use on the earth at all. As much as you like to big up yourself, right? You like to big up yourself that you are so important and key for humanity, bro. You're gonna find out you are absolutely not needed. Absolutely not needed. In fact, you're a fucking hindrance. Right? And that is why the Most High is going to get rid of you, man. Because you're just not needed, man. Like how you, man, just, sacking man off the job now because you got robots and AI is doing the job now. They're surplus to requirements. That's going to be you. That is going to be you, man. You don't provide no skills, no nothing. You don't provide anything that any of us need. So, sorry, but we have to terminate your contract. Right? Most likely going to terminate your contract on Earth. Right? It's expired. Best of luck for the future. They'll tell these man, like, yeah, sorry, we have to cut you off, but hopefully, you find, something else. Yeah, man. Yeah, man, we're just gonna cut Esau off, man. Right, and whatever the Lord does with the spirit after that, man, we hope it's better. You know what I mean? Because you ain't going back. There's no Edomites. That's for damn sure. All right. But anyway, moving on. Right. Verse 7. So shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and await that shall vex thee, and thou shall be booties unto them. Right. They're gonna get their pound of flesh, man. When you're gonna go to war with them, man, they're gonna spoil the shit out of you, man. You're not gonna have it all your way. Obviously, America's gonna do some damage too. And Europe, Europeans are gonna do some damage too. But these heathens, man, they're gonna get some joy. They're gonna get some joy, and when they're in the pits for you, they're gonna get even more joy. Because you're gonna be looking hella weak. You're gonna be looking hella weak, man. And these men are gonna fucking despise you, man. They're gonna laugh you to scorn, right? Because you've taken the piss out of them, and now it's their turn. Even though they're gonna be in the similar conditions to you, man, they're gonna have their turn in making a mockery out of you. All right. Why? Verse 8. Right? Because thou hast spoiled many nations. And you can't say that's not the so-called white man's history. That's what he does. That's what he's been doing. That's what he continues to do. Right? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. They ain't going to be treating you nice, man. Guaranteed, right? Because of men's blood, because it's part of the debt. Things you have to pay back. All this blood that you shed, man, you can't pay back, man. That's why you have to pay with your life and your servitude and ultimately your extinction. Right? Because of men's blood and for the violence of the land, of the city and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high. Because you purposely, put down these other nations so you can live good. You fuck up their nations. Exploit them. They can never rise. And when they start, when these nations start trying to do something better for themselves, right? They want to, they're banding together. You got the BRICS nations and stuff like that. These are poorer nations that are coming up more economically, right? You look down upon that, man. You want to kind of fuck it up because you don't want them to succeed. You don't want them to become stronger. Okay, you want to be the strongest, and you want to be the strongest by a country mile. You know what I'm saying? You don't want them to even be close. So you're gonna do all kind of things to mess with their economies and shit, and mess with their nations to make them weak. That's what you do, right? Because you want to live good. To hell with everybody else. That's how you've been. That's how you are. Why you, so you can sit down and look at them Africans, look at how poor they are and how corrupt they are. Well, they're fucking poor, man. You know, and you made them poor because they have resources, man. But you going around there exploiting them and taking their shit and corrupting, you know, leaders and all these different types of things. It's you. It's you, man. It says, woe to him that converteth an evil confessionist to his house, that he may set his nest on high, and that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast sought with shame to thy house by cutting off many people. Right? Again, you go on the earth murdering, slaughtering people, man. Especially the children of Israel, man. Right? So you've brought shame onto yourself, right? And has sinned against thy soul, right? Which you can't do nothing about. You can't repent. You can't say sorry. You know, nothing you could do to make it right. The Most High is the one that's gonna make it right. Because you ain't gonna go the distance, right, to make things right. You know, like in customer service, man, they'll tell you to go like, go the extra mile for the customer, you know, make sure that they're happy and all that kind of stuff. You're not prepared to do all that. All this ethos shit that you bring into these fucking businesses, right? You ain't prepared to do none of that. You ain't gonna go the extra mile to appease everybody, because what would that mean? You mean you put yourself in slavery? It means you'd eventually give yourself up and throw yourself off a cliff. You know, or whatever. You'd end your whole entire people. You're not prepared to do all that. That's why the Most High has to do it. Because what sane person would do that? You know, what sane person would end their whole line and put themselves into slavery? They're not going to do all that, right? But this is the stakes now. This is how bad it's got. This is how far it's gone, and this is the payment. And these men are not prepared to pay that. So the Most High is going to make it happen. Because that's what the Most High ultimately wants to do to the family of Esau, the house of Esau. You know? Says, thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity. Right? I ain't got to explain that. Behold, it is not for the Lord Yahweh of hosts that the people shall labour in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity. I'm gonna carry on. So, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord Yahweh, as the waters cover the sea. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbour drink, that puttest thy bottle to him and makes him drunken, also that thou mayest look at their nakedness, right? And so what these Edomites like to do, right? Because, you know, he got these other nations fucked up. He likes to point at them and say, look, these men are savages. They're they're low IQ and shit, you know. And like, oh yeah, we had man enslaved, but they did it too. You just like to point fingers at everybody else, basically. You know, you're like the chief in all these metrics. You know what I mean? You're the chief in all these metrics, all these wickedness, and you like to point at everybody else. You know, you're the most wicked. You're the most corrupt. You're the most vile. You're the most uncivilized. You're the most violent. You know, you're the chief metric of all these things, but you're going to point at everybody else and say, look, they're just as bad, or they're worse, or whatever the case, maybe just to make yourself look better. Bro, you're not fooling nobody. Well, not anybody with any eyes anyway. He's built your eyes, but the Most High sees it all. He knows, like, you're just full of shit, like we will do. We know you Esau's full of shit. All right? So thou art, verse 16, thou art filled with shameful glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on their glory, right? Beginning with the elect. You know, we're not going to praise you for nothing. You've done nothing but wickedness on this earth, man. So we're going to condemn this place and condemn you, right? The Most High is going to take you out. That is going to be your legacy, man. The nation of wicked, you know, of the highest order of wickedness. And look over there, there's America burning still as a testimony to that. That's going to be your legacy. Ain't going to be about your high fucking IQ, man. You're full of bullshit. Ain't going to be about all of that. Oh, your beauty. What beauty? You fucking trolls, man. You're a bunch of fucking trolls. You see Prince Charles, committed of trolls, man. That's your king. Yeah, they're a bunch of fucking trolls, man. You know, just a fucking makeup art, Max Factor artists and shit. That's the only time you can, you know, able to do good before you're 20. It was a bunch of fucking makeup and shit. You know, you're a bunch of fucking trolls, man. It ain't gonna be about your beauty. It ain't gonna be about your IQ and your inventions. Cause look what he's done to the world. He's fucking destroyed this place. What are we gonna praise you for? Nothing. They ain't gonna praise you for nothing. Okay, we're gonna happily forget about you, man, because it's just gonna be sad, bro. It's just gonna be maddening that you was doing all this craziness on the earth. You know? Yeah, thou art filled with shameful glory. Thou also, so drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. For the violence of Lebanon shall cover thee, and the spoil of beasts which made them afraid, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land of the city, and of all them that dwell therein. Alright, so that's what I want. Is Isaiah chapter 14. Read from verse 4, right? So that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, which represents, Esau, these elites, right? And say, how have the oppressors ceased, the golden city ceased, right? Your time of rulership is coming to an end. All right. The Lord has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers, right? The Lord is taking away your power. He's going to destroy your armies, right? He's going to destroy your kingdom, and you're not going to have nothing left, basically, right? He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. Again, you're nothing but an evil, oppressive force on the earth, right? This is your legacy. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth, right? No one's going to come to your aid. No one's going to prevent what's about to happening to you, right? The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Right? It's going to be a happy day. Oh, happy day. It's going to be a happy day, man, when you are out of power, right? This oppression can stop. Now, these nations are going to get fucked up for 1,000 years, man, but rightfully so, right? After all the fucking wickedness that they've done to the children of Israel, right? You're going to serve punishment. You're not going to be looking forward to it. But we're going to have a whale of a time. It's going to be good for us, but after that 1,000 years, it's going to be good for the heathen too, eventually. Right, when all the dust is settled, so to speak, right? These nations will be doing a hell of a lot better under our rulership than yours. These men can actually live rather than suffer in this place. But yeah, yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feather is come up against us. Even the nature, even the nation's going to be happy. The trees and the animals, everything is just going to be like a sigh of relief. That we ain't got this devil in rulership no more, because he was doing the most. Right? So hell from beneath his move to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. Right? So all the dead here is speaking about the nations, right? And they're going to rise up against it, right? Because that's what the Lord is sent an ambassador to tell these nations to come up and rise against Babylon, right? This is what World War III is about, right? When it finally hits, right? These nations are going to come and rise up against America, against Esau. Okay. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Right? You're going to be, like I said, heavily downgraded, right? You're going to end up in a pit with everybody else, and you're going to you're going to be on that same level. You're not going to be superior, white man, whatever, or godlike. These elites think they're fucking gods. You ain't going to be no superior nothing. You're going to find out how weak and perfect you really are. Right? Because these nations, man, like, bro, all these nations are stronger than you, really, ultimately. And these men have got some venting to do. Because the reason why they're there, or partly the reason why they're there in the pit with you, is because of what you've done. Right? So the men are going to be vexed. They're going to be vexed. Right? And they're going to treat you like shit. It's good for you. Right? Because that's how you treated Jake and everybody else, really. Right? But you treated us like shit, and that's what these heathen are going to do, man. They're going to look down upon you, even though they're in the same sort of position as you. But you'll be getting it the worst. Verse 11, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, which is the pride, right? And the noise of thy vials, the worm is spread under thee, and the worm is covered thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations, right? These Edomites have been going around the earth, like I said, debilitizing nations, man. making them weak on purpose, so they can't compete or they can't, share in the wealth that these Edomites will be getting. They don't cut fair deals. They don't do fairness. All this, you're reading your fucking chocolate bar or your bananas. Oh, fair trade. The man ain't getting no fair deal, bro. These men ain't getting nothing. When has Esau ever done any fair deals? These men are so broke. These men are so poor. Right? Esau made the whole world a fucking sweatshop, man. I know we get on China for doing that, but that's what Esau's done, man. He's looking for the cheapest, bro. Esau looking for the cheapest labor possible because he had it for free. Anything he had us for free, doing labor for him for free, right? Anything above that, he's fucking losing, so he's pissed. Yeah, you got to pay for anything. He had free labor, so of course he don't want to fucking pay for it, man. He's a fucking cheapskate. He's a fucking miser. He's a niggard, as the scripture tells you, right? He don't want to pay for nothing, right? So you think these men are getting fair deals? Hell no. These rappers can't even get fair deals. And I don't care if they got millions. Them men ain't getting no fair deals, man. Esau don't deal. They don't do fair. He don't do fair, man. So these men are still fucking struggling and suffering because of these devils, man. Because they don't do what's right. Anyway. For thou hast said in thy heart, I would ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, right? And like I say, you like this position that you're in because you're ruling over the children of Jacob, right? And you go around with so much wickedness, you just think you're on this level now because you got all this technology that I'm God. Like there's no one to oppose my authority here, right? Because the Most High hasn't said nothing to you, he hasn't spoke, he hasn't done nothing to you yet, right? But that day is coming. Right, and you're gonna find out you're just the same old pathetic worm that you always were. Right, you haven't ascended, you haven't advanced yourself or nothing. Right, you're still just a fucking bug that the Most High is gonna crush. Like you've got no closer. In reality, you know what I'm saying? It says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, right? To the sides of the pit. That's exactly where you're going. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? They're not going to be able to believe it, man. They're going to look at that. This weak-ass dude. These weak-ass devils, man. Because a lot of you elites are old there anyway. Some of you are dying off now. You're so feeble. Right? Despite all your technology, man. I had eight heart transplants, man. Still died. Like, I mean, like, you man can't really... you ain't no gods. But people are going to look at you and just like, how? Like, how did you manage to do this? And this is the thing, right? That's why the Most High said it ain't nothing, it's not the example, this is not the one I wanted, but like to make a rich man poor and a poor man rich, right? But that's not the example I wanted, right? The Lord can take the basis of people and make him ruler. That's what the scripture I was thinking about. But, these people are not going to believe. They're not going to believe it because if this guy, how was he able to gain control over the earth? He looks so weak. He looks so frail. He's ugly. He's short. You know what I'm saying? He smells. Like how did he become ruler over the earth? That had us all fucked up like that, right? So they're not going to respect them. They're going to look down upon them with no respect. Like what the hell, man? Right? But now they're in our hands. Verse 17, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. Say you've just been a destructive force on the earth. Right? All the kings of the nations, even all of them lie in glory, everyone in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch. And as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land, and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Right? You ain't gonna get, like I said, no one's gonna hold you in any high regard. No one's gonna exalt you, the memory of you, right? Once you're out of power, people are gonna despise you on a greater level than they already do. Right? Because you really led everybody astray and led them in this fucked up position. Because everyone has now had to drink of that cup that the Lord speaks about. You've all had to drink it now. You've caused all the other nations to drink, so you've had to share in the punishment. So they're gonna be angry at you. They're gonna be mad at you. You know, and when you're gone, I mean, like gone, like for good, gone. These people are not gonna miss you, man. These people are not gonna miss you. They're not gonna go, oh, remember, oh yeah, remember when we had iPhones? Man, ain't gonna give a shit about any of that, right? when the white man was ruling and we had, whatever, man. These things, they're just gonna. If anyone thinks of an Edomite man, they're just gonna be like, they're gonna feel sick. This guy is done a number on this earth, man. Man is running all kind of PDF file rings everywhere, running rings around people. You know what I mean? Everywhere these things are going on. Man's doing all kind of secret biological experiments on people, like without no one knowing. Poison the water, poison the air, poison the food. He was just doing everything, man. And we're not gonna look back at that and think, yeah, you know what, we need to respect this devil. No, we don't. What for? What for? We got an iPhone. What? Yeah, sure, great. Fucking, making us sick too. It's just like this guy is just not worth remembering, bro. Other than just a cautionary tale of where wickedness leads you, man. It leads you destroyed like Sodom and Gomorrah, like i.e. America. That's the new Sodom and Gomorrah. Back here it says, for I will rise up against verse 21, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. Right? So your children, your children ain't exempt. You're part of the same family, man. Part of the same wicked root. Therefore, you're all going to be dealt with. Because none of you are innocent anyway. I know some of you think you are. Oh, I never done a bad thing. Well, like, whatever, man. Stop lying. Everyone's done something bad. Whether you eat it or not, everyone's done something bad. So no one can sit there and tell me that, oh, we don't deserve to get judged. Whatever, man. You're going to be judged, okay? The Lord has already stated it, right? Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with seed, right? So your children are never going to be in power. Your descendants ain't going to be in power. Your progeny is not going to be in power, right? Ever again. Once this Edomite family goes down, that's it. No one's going to rise to prominence. You're going to die poor. You're going to die worse than poor. You're going to die despised, downtrodden, broken. You're just going to go out in a sad way. Like I said, no one's going to care, right? So for I will rise against them, and the Most High is going to rise against them, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name, which means like the remembrance, right? And remnant, and son and nephew, saith the Lord Yahweh, right? And specifically Babylon in America, i.e. America, right? So I will also make it a possession for the bitten and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts, right? That's why America is going to receive that nuclear fire, okay, in the form of those ICBM missiles, right? America is going to be that ultimate monument, because that's America is the crown jewel in the Edomite empire, right? And so that's going to be the place, the monument of the Lord, for the place of the wicked, the destruction of the wicked, right? It's smoke is going to go on for a very, very long time, right? And after that is all settled down, after the fire, because it's going to become a lake of fire, right? So when that eventually dies down, all that place is going to be is a desert, and everyone's just going to know, like, that's that place, man. You don't go there. No one's going to go there. And all that's going to be there is these types of creatures that, is being explained here. All right. And the Lord of hosts has sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass. Right? This is the Most High's thought. This is not ours. The Most High, this is what he desires, right? So this is what's going to happen. So shall it come to pass, and as I have purposed, so shall it stand. All right. I'm going to read down to 27, right? So, verse 25 says, I will break the Assyrian in my land and upon my mountains, tread him underfoot, and so then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders. This is the purpose that is proposed upon the whole earth, And this is the hand that is stretched out upon all nations, right? Because you're going to all share in that judgment. For the Lord of hosts have proposed, and who shall disannul it, right? And this is what I mean. There's no point speaking against it. There's no point speaking against us when we bring this stuff out. Like, it's going to happen. None of you are going to speak something else into existence. It's not going to happen. Your military might is not going to change anything. You know? So who should disannul it, right? And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back? Right? Nobody. No one. This is Ezekiel 35 and verse 12. Let me read up a little bit. I'll say a little bit. Let's read from the top. I'm going to read it quick, right? So the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. Okay, Mount Seir again represents Esau. And say unto it, Thus saith Lord God Yahweh, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. Okay, again, speaking on America. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. See, if thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Right? Because you had no problem shedding blood, shedding our blood, right? The Lord ain't gonna have no problem shedding yours, right? Having your blood shed. So thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill these mountains with these slain men, and in thy hills and in thy valleys, and all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. Right? Because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there. Right? So this is speaking on the children of Israel, the two kingdoms, right? The northern and southern kingdom, okay, which represents the children of Judah and the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel. All right? These are the two countries and two nations that you possess, okay, the people and the land you possess, right? Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God Yahweh, I will even do according to thine anger and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, and I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee. Right? And thou shalt know that I am the Lord Yahweh, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies which thou hast spoken against the children of Israel, saying, They are laid desolate, they are given us to consume. Thus with your mouth you have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me, I have heard them. Thus saith Lord God Yahweh, when the whole earth rejoiceth, I will make thee desolate. As thou did rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all I do me, even all of it, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Right? So the Most High going to bring a complete end to you, man. And it's going to be a happy, a joyful day when that does occur. All right? It's Amos 11, Amos chapter 1, verse 11. So thus saith the Lord Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword. Right? You've gone around the earth hunting us down, man. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Right? For the longest amount of time, for the 1,000 years that we was in, the interiors of Africa, I'm just talking about the kingdom of Judah, because the kingdom of Israel, they were bothering you even less. They was in the Americas already, minding their own damn fucking business, man. Being wicked, they were going off, but they were minding their damn business. They didn't have no dealings with you whatsoever, right? But we was in, West Coast Africa, in certain parts, right, for like 1,000 years before Esau showed up and carried us on fucking boats. You know what I mean? Like, we was fully just not really interacting with him like that. And he came around the earth and hunted us down anyway. First he went to the Americas and hunted, the children of Israel down, the kingdom of Israel down. And then he came, and set up the transatlantic slave trade, man, to get the rest of us. This guy is fucking insane. He's insane. Right? So he pursued his brother with the sword. He pursued us. We weren't bothering him. Right? And he cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. Right? Nothing's changed. The Lord has had mercy and not, had us in this hardcore captivity, but he still oppresses us. He still, he still sees us downtrodden. It's Psalms 149. I'm sorry for the top, right? Praise ye the Lord Yahweh. Sing unto the Lord a new song. and his praise in the congregation of saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him. Let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and harp. For the Lord taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. Right? The meek are of his people. Right? Simple. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praise of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. Right? This is what's going to happen, right? To bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. Right? So for everything that you've done, this is what's going to happen to you. It's going to happen to these Edomites and these other nations, man. Their kings are going to be bound in chains. Right? Vengeance is going to be executed upon them. Right? To bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints, praise the Lord. Right? So when the saints are on top, this is what the saints are going to do. Right now, the saints, they're not on top. The saints are having to suffer. They wait patiently for our Lord Yahushua. But when the saints are on top, when the saints take the kingdom, when we get the kingdom, when Yahushua turns up and we receive the kingdom with him, we're going to put the kings and nobles in chains and fetters of iron and execute judgment upon them. Right? For their wickedness. Very easy to understand. Right? This is Joel 20. Yeah, I'm going to read from 18, right? So that which he labored for shall he restore. Right? Everything Esau's worked towards in his life, in his generations, right? He's gonna lose it all, right? Let's say he's gonna lose his kingdom. So he's gonna lose it all and have to pay back everything or give back everything that he took. Right? So this is what's going into. That which he labored for shall he restore, you have to give back. And shall not swallow it down, mean not keep it. According to his substance shall the restitution be, right? To his substance, everything that he has. That's the restitution, the restoration. Right? And this is why Esau will never do this off his own back, because Esau been talking about, it's been spoken about a long time about reparations for Jake, right? To bring us back, like to pay for the things he's done, right? But the number is never going to be big enough because they can't afford it, right? Because there's so much damage, right, that it can't be calculated, right? And he's never going to give everything back, right? So he's not going to do that. He ain't going to do the right thing, right? That's why the Most High is the one going to make him do it. Because the Most High has declared, the high judge has decided that the payment is everything. It's everything. Right? Your substance is everything. Everything that you possess. Right? That is what it's going to take. But we have to talk about interest now. Because you man like charge interest, right? Well, Most High gonna put interest on you. You're gonna give everything back. That's just a payment. that's not even enough, right? The interest is, bro, you're gonna go to slavery for 1,000 years, and right, you're gonna go out, right? You're gonna disappear, right, for good, right? That's the cost. That's what the Most High have declared, right? And like I said, none of you are prepared to pay that. And I know it's funny, I think about some of these Edomites, I know some of these other camps have got these dudes on camera kissing their fucking shoes and shit. That ain't enough. That ain't enough. These Edomites ain't doing enough. Because you know what I mean? Bro, none of them are prepared to pay the price. And that's just the truth. They can kiss boots wherever they want. They ain't gonna placate the Lord. Or they humble themselves in the sight of the children of Israel. The Lord's gonna have mercy upon them. No, the Lord's not gonna do that, bro. Everything must go, right? You gotta go. Everything you gotta be taken away from you. You gotta be stripped, made bare, made naked, right? Embarrassed. Everything's gonna happen to you, bro. You're gonna go into slavery for 1,000 years and be abused and whatever. Look, Mosai is gonna deal with you wickedly, man. He's gonna deal with you in a bad way. Right? And you got a supreme evil time for you is coming. All right, and then in the Lord's mercy, perhaps the Lord's just gonna get rid of you with it. He's had his fun. We've all had a revenge, so to speak. So maybe the Lord's acting out mercy at Esau just by getting rid of him. Who knows? Like, what that's really about. But that's what the Lord has decided that He's going to do with you after you fall. Anyway, says that which He laid before He shall restore and shall not swallow it down. According to His substance shall the restitution be, and He shall not rejoice therein. Right? He ain't gonna be happy. Because He have oppressed and have forsaken the poor, because He have violently taken away an house which He builded not. Surely He shall not feel quietness in His belly, He shall not save which He desired. There shall none of His meat be left, therefore shall no man look for His goods. Right? Because you ain't gonna have nothing left. So no one's gonna look at you and admire you or want what you got because you ain't got shit. So ain't no one gonna be looking at you, right? It says, in the fullness of His sufficiency, He shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked, which represents the nations, right, shall come upon him. When he's about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of His wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. All right, so you're gonna get so close in fulfilling your dreams, your new world order, right? Just for the Most High to snatch it away at kind of like the last minute, right? It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt bad, right? He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn and cometh out of the body, yea, the glittering sword shall come out of his gall, terrors are upon him, right? There's these missiles. All darkness shall be hid in his secret places, a fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. The heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall throw away in the day of wrath. This is the portion of a wicked man from the Most High, and the heritage appointed unto him by God. All right, yeah. So it's severe. It's severe. All right. I'm going to read from verse 10 here. Right? This is Obadiah 1 and 10. This is what we're going to end it on, because this is how it ends. Right, for Esau. Obadiah 1 verse 10 says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, right? Because you pursued us with the sword, and you didn't you didn't care about shedding our blood, right? All of that, right? For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Like literally, the Lord is going to cut you off as a people to no longer exist. All right. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them, right? You was along with our enemies bringing us down, even back then. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of calamity. Like I say, you've just been a fucking a wicked ass brother, man. Okay, you're just looking for opportunity to take. Right? You rejoiced at our downfall. Right? You played a role in our downfall. Right? And this is the things that these Edomites never think about these things because they don't associate themselves with the Edomites, right? But all these things that you've done throughout your time as a nation, you have to pay for. The Lord is going to make you pay for all of this. And that's why you can't be acquitted. There's nothing you can say, oh, we don't deserve, that was then. The Lord is tallying up all these offenses, right? Which the Lord intends to make you pay for. This isn't just about slavery. This is a whole bunch of other stuff that you've done. Slavery just might have been the fucking worst of it. But like there's plenty of other things that you've done. Right? That's equaling this judgment that you're getting. So neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Right? Again, you should so you reap what you sow. Right, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, all of that, right? Because these people, like these Christians, like to forget all these things. Like, these Edomite Christians, because obviously they like to preach peace and love, because they don't want to be, you know, they don't want to be looked at as fucking some violent people. But you don't, because you don't actually practice these things. You teach these things to dumb down others that may have this anger inside them, right? Because you fear the attack, because you know you've done wickedness on the earth, right? But when it comes to you, when you want to meet at judgment, whatever, you quite happily bring it. Like I said, you should just say you don't hate blood. You don't hate the shedding of blood. But you're all meant to be Christians, so how that make sense? You teach others to turn the other cheek and whatever, right? But you yourself don't turn the other cheek. You know, it's hypocrisy. But the truth is, look, you've done what you've done. You're going to receive what you've done. Because you're not acting good, you're not going to receive good. You know, that's just the bottom line of it. That's the truth. That's how the Most High balances it up. Right? All this talk about fucking love and peace, you're just a bunch of hypocrites at the end of the day. You know? For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall be upon thy own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. Right? Like you never was in power, never had rulership. You bust down, right? It says, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, right? So out of the nations, Zion's going to be delivered, i.e. the children of Israel, right? They're going to go up. These men are going to go down. And there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions, right? So that's who the possessions are going to go to, the children of Israel, because we're going to be the new rulers in the earth, right? These nations are going to go down. They're going to have to get back, because then Esau's not the only one that's stolen from us, right? And he's not the only one that's done wickedness to us. So all these nations are going to pay. We just get on Esau the most because, one, he's the present time ruler, and two, he's done the worst. He's done the most to us. Right, our good dear old brother, right? He's done the worst. He's done the worst to us, man. So his punishment is special. So we get on Esau all the time, obviously. You know. Yeah, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. Right, it's going to belong to us. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. Right, so that's the ultimate end. The Most High will eventually remove Esau from earth. He will not exist as a race anymore, as a people, as a nation. Right, and we don't need, you're not gonna be slaves. You're nothing. You're gonna cease to exist as Esau, right? As Edomites, right? And this is after you've done your time in slavery. So you're just gonna have a bad time, innit? You're gonna have a bad time for a long time until this day comes. And like I say, you might see this as a bit of mercy, because the Most High is, he's not like these Christians that teach like man are just burning hell forever and ever. Like the Most High doesn't have an end to judgment. It's just continual. You might have done one bad thing in one of your lives, and now you're just burning in hell for eternity. Like it doesn't really add up. It doesn't really balance or match up, is it? You haven't done an infinite amount of evil, so why are you gonna be burned for an infinite amount of time? It doesn't make any sense. But Esau's gonna serve 1,000 years. That's his judgment. That's his punishment, right? It's gonna be hell for him, but he's not gonna be in hell. Technically, from a Christian's perspective, right? He's not gonna be in hell. He's just gonna be going through hell, right, here on earth, under our rulership, under the judgment, for 1,000 years, right? And then the Most High is just gonna remove all of them. Right, and they, at the very least, they go back into the spiritual realm, into heaven, and they're just, they're gonna be all right in it, whatever in it, cool. But whether or not the Lord sends, the spirits back in amongst the different nations or whatever, remains to be seen. That's all speculation on our part. But what we do know is that after 1,000 years, these men are gonna go return to the spirit realm at least. Right? And the Esau as a nation is no longer going to exist. Right? Because it says, there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. Right? So there's no righteous Edomites that are going to survive. right? Because otherwise they'd be of the house of Esau, wouldn't they? But it says none, which is exactly the number 0, right? Not one Edomite. Okay, so they're all going to be gone. And like I say, you're not going to be missed, right? This is where we're going to part ways, right? We're going to say goodbye, good riddance, right? And nobody's going to miss you. We're going to be getting on happily, us and the other nations, right? In the kingdom of heaven. And obviously, the kingdom of heaven is really, Israel. But by extension, these other nations that are around about us are going to benefit from that. Their lives are going to be a lot better than what they are on this side of things. And like I said, then no one's going to miss you. No one's going to miss what you brought to the world, because only you didn't bring anything other than wickedness and destruction. And that's something that's going to be kind of painfully obvious once we're in the kingdom. People romanticize this place right now because they're kind of just consumed with consumerism and gadgets and whatever, right? But people are not really alive. People are not really living. People are really depressed and broken inside and shit. There's a lot of brokenness, in the earth. And yeah, people they're gonna see and feel the difference, in the kingdom, and what life is truly meant to be like. Something that's a bit more fulfilling in this place, But I'm gonna end it there. Lord, when this has been edifying, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Until next time, I say shalom.